Oh, thanks. Yeah. Hello. It's Colin here again. Um, It's funny if I'm on here. I think I'm on. Um, it's Colin here, bloody again. Yeah, I'm trying to get things sorted out here now. Last night, I was very upset about something. You see, what happened was I do busking in Romance Street, to be formerly known as Courtney Place, as I've mentioned before, because the Holy Spirit spoke to me. He's a person, he's the author of a romance, and he spoke to me about, going to 4 years ago now actually, that 3.5 years, and he said he wants he wants to heal the rift between the Christians and the world. Because if you're in touch with the Holy Spirit, you kind of can get response, and the closer you get to him, the more you can get replies, replies, more you can get guidance from him. So so it's yet to be changed over to Romance Street, and I understand he wants, that's right, he wants to heal the rift between the Christians and the world, and he wants Courtney Place to be changed to Romance Street or Love Street. So out of the two, I chose Romance Street, and then he said that he wanted to cherish this little street unto himself. That's a great honour for Wellington, New Zealand, to have a street that's he wants to honour unto himself. I don't know any street in the world that he wants to do that offhand. Well, I don't know of any. There might be. So he's the author of all romance, and he made it, and he wants to see. He doesn't like things that's happening in New Zealand and around the world. So anyway, I've been working on solving the sex problem in New Zealand, but I'm caught at the moment. I'm trying to get a breakthrough into Parliament to get an appointment, but I can't get an appointment, so I might have to give what's called a memorial offering. I need to explain that and start believing for the Holy Spirit to open up doors. Anyway, what should I say? So I have to keep moving and get a breakthrough at the moment. Originally I had a person to see, but that fell through. This particular person said that this particular person is not into street name changing, and that fell through. And it was the original person I was to see, because I was to see a particular person that the Holy Spirit told me to see, and I managed to get hold of this particular person by an email, by letters, an ordinary conventional letter done by email. This particular person read it. Somebody was helping me to do it. So anyway, it's sort of fallen through with that one. I seem to be more led to Parliament. It's a matter of getting a breakthrough here. I just written to Andrew Little, he's the Minister of Health, and I'd sent about 90 words. I think a maximum of 90 words, so I sent a bit over 90, about 100 words, but that wouldn't make any difference. Still haven't got a reply to my email. Anyway, getting back to last night, I was very bloody set last night because I do busking in, as I say, Romance Street, to be at the moment still Courtney Place, because I'm fundraising for work in Africa actually, and so I do this fundraising work usually in the evenings at the moment in Courtney Place. So I'm trying to work on solving the sex problem in New Zealand and trying to work out and to knock this virus out, and as I've been putting on my videos, but I can't get a breakthrough on that one. That's the one I'm working on at the moment. But I just can't get a reply to my emails. And I've asked them to make an appointment. You see, I want to make an appointment with them. but I can't. I've seen baby Jace. I've written to her, and well, that was a conventional letter. I don't know if I've sent her an email, but she's got about 1,700,000 viewers, so she wouldn't even be able to read all her emails, let alone reply to any. But anyway, getting back to last night, I was busking their way, as I say, to support her work in Africa. And a couple of people came running up to me, and they were running in the state of emergency. They were running, and I said, "Have you seen a guy with a grey beard?" And I hadn't seen him, and they were in an emergency situation, as though there was some emergency about this guy. And then later on, two of them came running back towards me the other direction, and so again, I think they wanted to know about this guy with a grey beard. And so I said to them, has he done something wrong? And they said, yes. Something. He said, yes. He said he touched a woman's breast or something. Well, I don't know. I mean, the way that they were running, literally running, as though some kind of emergency, somebody had, say, taken a fit or has collapsed on the ground or something, and one of the ambulances come yet or something like that, and just turned out he's touched a woman's tit and that. I mean, they go around like they do. What do they expect? They don't walk like that around there for nothing. Would they walk around like that in the Sahara Desert, say? They would decide to go out for a walk, say, and they knew that walk out there, they would not even be seen by a herdsman. They just knew that there'd be no herdsman about, nobody to see them like that. Would they be interested in going like that out with nobody to see them? Of course not. They go to be seen. But they can only go so far with it, I suppose, because it depends on the woman, though. I don't know what actually happened, because they come looking for them. That means they weren't there at the time. So it must have been a delay here. Maybe the girl told them about it later on. And maybe they came rushing to protect her. Maybe she didn't want anything done, but she just happened to mention about it. And so they thought they're trying to help her or some bloody shit, and sort of shit that I'm trying to solve. And New Zealand can't be the greatest nation and the most happiest nation in the world when it's like it is, not only with sex matters, but with other problems New Zealand's got. New Zealand can't save the world if it can't save itself. New Zealand has to save itself first, and then New Zealand can save the world. So I'm working at the moment actually on this virus by orthomolecule medicine, as I've stated in my videos, but I can't get a breakthrough on that. Sometimes I'm trying to get an appointment. And so I've tried Bishop and Mr. Bishop, what's his first name, and then Andrew Little at the moment. Chris Bishop, is it? Chris Hipkins. Yeah, Chris Hipkins is the man. So I haven't got a reply to I wanted an appointment. So anyway, getting back to last night, I was up bloody set that they should be chasing this guy, just touching a tit and that. I mean, they don't walk like that for nothing. The same guy, if she had been living with him, would have been all right, the very same guy. And that's what I've noticed with these women. If they know a guy, it's okay. For example, I've been busking down there and I've been watching what's going on, and these guys come up behind these girls, and when the girls turn around and see that it's guys they know, it's fine. But if they don't know, then it's different. I remember in Courtenay Place there, I saw a few months or so ago, I saw this slim cunt. He was chasing somebody away, probably over sex matters or something, and people react differently to them. He's probably wasn't going to attack him, I suppose. And it's probably over sex, something to do with sex. And probably the same thing, might have felt a tit or something like that. And so he was chasing away this other cunt, the slim cunt was chasing away this guy, telling him to go. And he kept on telling him to go and walking behind him. Now, the situation could have been the exact opposite. The guy he was chasing away could have been the guy who that girl knew, and it was okay, and now the slim cunt comes along who she doesn't know, and the boot could be on the other foot. The other guy now could be chasing away the slim cunt. So it's a matter of if a girl knows you. I gave an example once before of a girl in one of my videos. A girl, she arrives home and she sees her light on. And she thought, I don't remember putting my light on. And then she thought, I must have done it absent-mindedly. So she got into the house and she walked into the bedroom. And there was some cunt there. He got hold of her panties and he was fondling them and that, and around his weapon and that sort of thing, you know. Well, you can imagine the response that that woman give in a situation like that. They would be different though if you took, say, 1,000 women that came home like that. You would get quite a few different. You get quite a few different responses. Actually, it wouldn't all be the same from 1,000 women exactly the same. So they do differ. But you can imagine the situation without me trying to explain what they would do, you know. Fortunately, New Zealand girls don't carry guns because sometimes there might have been some dead guys around just because they didn't happen to know the guy. So let's now reverse it. Now she comes home, she finds this cunt in her bedroom. Now, let's say that this particular guy was the very same guy. She was actually living with him. They were living together. They'd been together for months or maybe years. And so she came home, she saw her light on. She thought, maybe Bill's got home earlier or something like that. So, and she walked into her bedroom and she found exactly the same thing happening. Same guy with her panties around. And she might say to him, what the fuck are you doing like that, you sick cunt? You knew I was coming home. What do you look like some sick-starved cunt the way you're carrying on like this. Fucking me dead days. What the fuck's wrong with you sick cunt? You're like a sick-starved cunt, yeah. That's what she might, something like that she might have said to him, Again, they would vary what they would say to their partner too. But just looking at the fact that we're dealing with the very same guy. The same guy, he gets the electric chair sort of thing, and she knows him, and it's different. Like in the Cuba Mall just recently there, we had this poor cunt. He goes, he gets 7 years in jail for just kissing a woman. Now, the only reason they complained in the first place, because they didn't know him probably, but if they had known the same guy, they worked with him, knew him, they might have just said, Bill, not here, or something like that. Or you probably wouldn't have made a complaint because they know the guy, So that's a big problem, is knowing you and not knowing you. A girl actually can get to know a guy sufficiently 22 times. Like what I mean by that is this. Excuse me. He walks into the office 22 times with the paper. They still read the paper, say, at this office, and he takes it in. So this girl behind her desk, the receptionist, she saw him 22 times coming in for the paper. She saw him each time. She looked at him. She saw him front and back. Each time she saw him fully. Now, he happened to know her name because he heard her name mentioned by one of the staff and so he got her name, so it was, say, Sophie, one of these modern names. So therefore he's seen her 22 times, or she's seen him more than anything 22 times. So he happens to see her in the street, and she's in the front of him, and he says, Sophie, and sharply, so she swings around. She heard her name mentioned. So anyway, she saw this guy, and she probably remembered that he comes in with a paper. So he says to her, oh, Sophie, you looked tired today when I came in with the paper. I was wondering if somebody's upset you, somebody upset you, Sophie? And she could say, oh, no, or something, she could reply to it. And the next thing, they could be walking down the street together, and he could maybe ask her for a dinner date. So would you like to come for dinner? And I'll shout you for dinner or something like that, a dinner date, and it could be on. But then you see, you got this problem of living with another guy, this problem of tying yourself down to one individual for the rest of your life. You've got this problem again. I've been trying to work on this problem of it's just like, as I say, having an ordinary friend till death us do part. You can only have one friend till death us do part. And I've covered this in other videos. And well, I mean, why not have different friends? Why not have different friends? Well, they do. In fact, a guy could introduce a friend of his to another friend of his. He could say, oh, Bill, this is Jack, a friend of mine. Jack, this is Bill, a friend of mine. And there's not a problem. None of them say, oh, I thought you were my friend. And, you have as many friends as you like. The same should be living together. You could live together, but you still should have friends. So she could still be able to take some cunt home, even if she's living with a guy, and he can do the same thing, bring home a girl. Because otherwise you're stuck together, and then what happens? About half of them separate in New Zealand. But I think it's about 51%. I haven't checked that, but it's quite common, for people to be separated. There they were, lovey-doveys, and I remember in Wairoa, my hometown, there's a little town in between Napier and Gisborne called Wairoa, small town. It only had about 3,000 or 4,000. Don't know what it's like at the moment. But anyway, there was a woman there that she was so happy with this guy that she was sort of laughing and crying at the same time. She was so happy with this guy. Well, anyway, several years later, I went back to Wairoa, and there he was back with his mother. Now, it's possible she could have died or something like that, but the most likely thing was, typical case, separated. They're lovey-dovey for a start, but then how long does it last for? And the novelty wears off. Now, even though you might have a couple that says, look, we've been married together, we've been married for 5 years, we don't argue, we love each other still just the same. Well, even in a case like that, which is certainly not the normal, well, I mean, you've got, say, 51% separated or divorced, and then you've got about another 15% or more who live in what they call a singles marriages. They still together, still married, or living together, but he does his thing and she does her thing, and they don't sort of see much. Well, they do. Sometimes they don't even sleep together now, and that sleeping, that's called, of course, what shall I say? It's called singles marriages, yeah, as you probably know. And sometimes these singles marriages, they vary from one end to the other, from one side to the other. It can be different, the opposite. One side could be that they've hardly even noticed it, and one says to the other, it's funny, we don't seem to be the same as we used to be. And she might say, yeah, funny thing you should mention that. I was thinking along that lines, and so on. And so what shall I say? So it's not a problem. But on the other end of the scale, on the singles marriages, back to the singles marriage, that they could be not even speak to each other, and when they do, they're gruff and you could bang on the door or something during the night to annoy him and things like that, and really finished, and so that's singles marriages. So that constitutes about another 15-20%. And then you've got ones who've finished, but they still live with him or he lives with her because of, say, the children is one thing, baby or the children. She doesn't know where else to go, and so she or he just drags it on year after year, and but they're really finished. So that takes another percentage. So, and then even if you do get the ones, say 10 or 12% that living happily together and so on, and you still haven't got the variety, you see, of different people. You've still got the same person. And then you can get institutionalised too, like a prisoner in jail. Sometimes he's institutionalised, as you know, probably. So anyway, so getting back to this guy last night in Courtney Place, I was up bloody set. So I got talking to a guy about it, and he gave me a very good piece of information, something that really hit me very well. He might have been drunk, I'm not sure. But anyway, what he said was very interesting. He said, "Don't worry about it." And that really hit me hard. Don't worry about it. That's right, yeah, don't worry about it. And I was deeply impressed by that last night. He said, "Don't worry about it." And so I tried to, or whatever, but it sort of was still on my mind. But what it did do, it made me more determined than ever. A sort of form of persecution to me, and it's made me more deeply committed than ever to solve this problem in New Zealand with the sex problems. And if you could get New Zealand walking naked in the streets, passed by Parliament, you walk naked, then the police, of course, don't do anything. It's the parliamentarians that make the laws of the country. The police just uphold the law. And the solicitors are the same. They just uphold the law. They just work by the law too, but they're different. Of course, they can't arrest people, but they're the same but different. So, so you could walk naked, and they have mattresses around, and the Reserve Bank could just print money and give it to them to build a dome, say over Romance Street, we call it now hopefully Romance Street, and shutters go down like a Venetian blind, and so when it's raining, shutters clip up because they're making love there, and it's Romance Street, and they've got mattresses and they've got showers there, male and female just shower together, and guy helps the girl shower, and then they've got laundry there, the laundry basket with their fresh sheets and that, and the pillow slips are there, and then the ones that need washing is the one, and somebody comes in the morning or so and gets the washing ones and takes them and puts them in the laundry and brings them back, sort of thing, and everything's sweet, and problems can be solved. There will be problems, but they can be solved. Maybe the police could walk around and just keep an eye on things, and so if a guy was too rough, she calls the policeman over, and he's there just to help. He's not there to do any arresting. He's there to help, and so she says to the policeman, "He's too rough on me." So the policeman says, "Are you being rough, sir, on this lady? And I'll show you how to do it." And so he finds out how she's rough, so he's too rough on her tits, say. See, one girl was like that, actually, in Courtney Place. A few months ago, I think she liked this guy. I think he was handsome. I think it was the same guy. She tore into him with her lips on his lips. She was just kissing him like nobody's business, a bit unusual. But I think why she was kissing him was he was a handsome cunt, I think, and she was kissing his lips because he was so handsome. I think that's what I could gather from it. He was really hoeing into his lips, and it was really great to see in that. But I think it was the same cunt, excuse me, I think the same cunt, he got too rough with her tits because she went back from him and said, don't be too rough. She was too rough with him, and so the police could just be there to just and then if he's too rough, say, the policeman could say, you must do it this way, I'll show you how to do it. So he takes hold of the tits of the woman and just caresses them nicely. I might suck a nipple, maybe, and then says to the guy, now try that, try doing it like that, and so he does it, and then he looks good. So he asks the lady, the policeman asks the lady, is he happy? Is he doing it correctly now? And yes, he's fine now, and he just seems to just wander around just to sort of get things right and that, because it's Romance Street and everything he wants to be romance. The present time would be a good idea to work this out, because at the present time they're working on Courtenay Place. They're going to spruce up Courtenay Place. So if I could write to them, but you see, you've got to have Parliament to pass the laws to be able to walk naked and that. And you'll find that if it was done properly and that, New Zealand could be the most happiest nation in the world by far. And how are you New Zealanders so happy? You voted by far the most happiest nation in the world. And then we just say, well, we just natural in New Zealand now. We walk naked and we make love all the time. And because you will have, problems because there will be problems like, say, an ugly cunt, he wants to kiss and she doesn't want to be kissed by an ugly cunt. Or he's too old and that sort of thing. You will have problems, but problems are made to be solved. You can just solve the problem, especially if the Holy Spirit was leading and guiding. Remember, he's the author of all romance. So my time's just about up here. I've got about 7 more minutes or so to make it within 35 minutes. Otherwise, what happens is my friend is helping me with this. I don't understand this technology. I tried it, but it went black again. He said, did it this way, it went black again, and then he said, do it this way, and it went black again, and I just gave up the ghost, and so he just helps me, but I'd have to learn how to do this technology. So anyway, so we need to solve these problems of New Zealand first. Not only sex problems, but we need to solve the problems of guidance, and so we don't get any more of these. See, just recently we've had this knife attack, and then we've had this big floods down the South Island at the moment. Supposed to be about the biggest one in 100 years, but they forget actually about previous ones too. Actually, we've had probably ones like this, but it certainly was a big one down there at the moment. There's flooding in Canterbury. So there's all these things that can be solved if we're in the spirit enough, if we get more guidance, and he can stop all these things. But Christians are not the salt of the earth, what they should be. They're more interested in the things of the world instead of doing the job what they're called to do, which is to help the world's problems, and that they seem to be getting tied up with things of the world too much. And was over in the east, more better. They've especially got some persecution that seems to make them stronger. If it's moderate persecution, but if it's too tough, like in North Korea, if you're a Christian in North Korea and you're found with the Bible, by golly, you can be shot dead by a firing squad, or you can be put in this terrible prison they've got in North Korea, which you might have heard about. Oh, it's a terrible prison. Or they might put you, it might torture you, and they give you a hideous kind of torture, and they might try to rehabilitate you course to go through or something like that. I don't exactly know what happens, but it's terrible to be a Christian. You're caught being a Christian. They even go to the extent of trying to organise prayer meetings to catch Christians that way. And the worst thing about it is that once they get you, they actually go to their relatives and put them in prison as well. That's what they do in North Korea. So it's just too tough. But when it's moderate persecution, it helps the Christians to get on their toes and get better. And they're stronger over in the east more than they are in the west. Some are okay in the west, some are strong, but generally speaking, they're much stronger in the east, in Africa and places like that. Well, my time's getting up here. It's 29 minutes by the looks of 29 minutes here by the look of it. It's got 2 there, so I'd keep it to 35 minutes. So, hang on, what is it? 30 or 31 minutes, I think, now. So I've got a few more minutes, I think. So I'm going to close this video then, and so I'm just working on getting a breakthrough at the moment. I might have to do the same things what I ask Christians to do, to take it to the Holy Spirit, leave it there and thank Him, and then look forward to His help by, what shall I say, look to His help by thanking Him and expecting, living in a state of expectation that it's going to happen. If you're surprised that something happens that you've been praying for, then that's bad, because it's not faith. You should be surprised if it didn't happen. So if you live in a state of expectation that this is going to happen, and then there's memorial offerings with Gaylord, with John Avancini too, which I've touched. Well, I better start closing this video now. So my time's just about up here. I'm quite sure of the time here now. 31 minutes, I think it is. 30, it might be 37. So I better close. So I'll catch up with you then on another video. So I'll close this video for now, and we'll keep getting sorted out. So this is Colin then signing off for now. So bye for now.